Yeah. Our game is Polaroid Troubles by Midnight 21. How do you? There you go. The summary of the game is we're planning to keep it as a stealth like game puzzle that displays the time travel through our main mechanic and the camera. It's the premise of the story is based on a journalist who goes back in time to collect photos and artifacts. Uh, no, photos of artifacts and bring them back in the present to show them off to in the museum and make a journal about it and that's how she gets money from it. And um, our core gameplay loop is to keep the different historic parts in the history and collect all the artifacts. And throughout the time, there will be stars that the player can get. And if they can't get the stars the first time, they can go back again and redo it. It's like different levels for different scenes and all that. This game links to reflections as a metaphorically sense and not as like visual. Most of the time, it's just the only visual we have is to show through different display scenes. We can have a reflection of what's to come. Hence, why the metaphorical sense as well as the visual. But we plan to keep it as more of metaphorical because you go to the past and everything. This is our alpha trailer. We kept it simple as we didn't have much time to show off all the thing. This is mainly for the Egyptian section of the map, as we have two maps, which is the museum as well as the Egyptian map. And this one right here is for the Egyptian side of things. Then this is where I'll talk about the different things we worked on throughout the whole time for Alpha. But the visual art and art would be the fact that during the team's work, I started doing different textures for the game, as well as making a simple like animatic for the intro sequence to showcase what we want our game story to be like, to showcase how it would look like. And sadly, I can't zoom it in, but this is our main character, Betty, planning to go to the museum and breaking in with a key that she already got. For the programming and mechanics side of things, we got a bunch of things. I don't really know what it was. We got the AI to work. We got this is the video to show. We got the AI to work, like it's an AI roaming, and once it gets spotted by the player, the AI would be able to catch the player and would lose. We got the camera switching, where certain spots where will make the character be able to switch cameras and be able to look around. We got the collecting collectibles on the floor whenever we need to do so. We also got the teleportation section, which was before that, which would be the main mechanic for the game. Then later on, we added on to like where we could take pictures, which would be certain walls where the artifact would be in. Sadly, we didn't have enough time to add a UI of where the like when you take a picture, you'll be able to see on the book on album to see where the pictures you took on, but it would be like a preset picture, not like from the game. We got the enemies, the cameras on switch, the teleporter and teleport point, and the cameras, the minimap, which is pretty complicated to do, but we ended up doing it in the end. We worked on the 3D assets. weren't able to put it in the alpha yet, but we got the weapons and the main thing, which was the sarcophagus, which is gonna be in the Egyptian as well as in the museum to showcase how our character is able to look at this in the present, maybe ruined and everything, but in the past, the weapons and the sarcophagus is going to be brand new, which is why it'll be able to get the core gameplay loop of getting money from getting perfect pictures. The weapons and sarcophagus is not fully textured, of course, it is alpha, but we are planning to do it on beta in this beta section. We got the environment art. We've got the main section of the Egyptian section, which you've seen, but then my other 3D art modeler has worked on, Anna has worked on the museum and where the layout of where everything could be, which has done an amazing job too from like different sketches and such. For the development timeline, we got to pre-production, which was we have worked on ideas, concept, and getting what we wanted to do for the final, what our final is going to look like for the post-production. For the alpha, we focused mainly on the core game mechanics and the blockouts for the assets. And as you can see, we're pretty close to beta, but we just have to keep on working. For the future, we plan to focus on texturing and modeling assets more. We have to get a model of the main character, of course, as we didn't have enough time to do that. Be able to do the UI as well as the model and pictures of the game, as well as adding a soundtrack to the background of the game, as we've been pushed back for time for the amount of times that my sound effects guy was not able to do Tom, as we lack the resources to make it. So hopefully we'll be able to do it for the beta version before the golden standard. But yeah, thank you for listening. Any questions?
Thanks, guys. So just to make sure I've got it right, we play as the sort of journalist who goes to a museum. They take a picture of the artifact, and that sends them back to when the artifact was from, and then they're trying to sort of sneak around the now sort of time appropriate area, and is it take a picture of the artifact?
Yeah.
Before, like, in the right time.
Yeah. We plan to do, what's the main one that I apologize for not saying this, but
okay.
The main idea is that our character is able to look around the museum and will get hints throughout the whole game to be like, oh, this is how you can get this artifact in the past. And our character is able to go to a staff room, as we can't be all over the place when teleporting, of course. Our character will be our player character is going to go to the staff room and be able to go back in time and be able to take a picture of the artifact as it is like brand new, which then she makes a journal about it, and it's because it's like a nice journal and everything, and like the pictures are brand new or something. She gets more money out of it.
So I think I asked this question the last time that we did the production review, but how does this relate to the Reflections theme?
The main part of the reflection is metaphorically, as it's reflecting on the past. But instead, just in case we aren't hitting the mark, we also plan to add reflections in the cases to hint to the player, which again is a way to show the past and go in the metaphorical sense.
Yeah, I think that the more literal reflections maybe feel like a little bit more effort than they perhaps should be. I think just having a reflection on some of the surfaces is going to feel a little out of place. So I would focus on your more metaphorical
Yeah.
reflection theme. But I think overall, some really, really good progress, some interesting ideas, and it really looks like you're getting on with a lot of the stuff that needed doing. What did you think, Robin?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I really like the originality of the idea. If I'm being completely honest, I was quite confused about who you are playing as and what the main purpose is. There were a lot of different features mentioned without me kind of knowing how it ties into the overall gameplay loop.
Mhm.
So I would really recommend giving us a diagram of what that overall loop looks like. So thinking like, okay, so the player starts, are they given a task? Like, are they told they need to find the Egyptian thing first? If that's the case, then what are they doing? So they then are time traveling to Egypt. They are then sneaking to obtain a photograph and then time traveling back to modern day to then see the thing that they photographed?
It's hold on. The way we plan to do it is it's a set path from the beginning to the end, as the set path is to from the Egyptian side as well as then continuing the stories. But of course, we forgot to add on the layout, which then would have been more useful to showcase it.
Do
But
you have like a level layout then that shows this path?
yes, it's a level layout that we have the path of where the player will begin and will end during the whole thing.
Okay.
We'll make sure to add on to the next time. So yeah.
Okay.
But mhm.
Sorry, continue.
But yeah, the players playing a character called Betty, which is the lady you saw in the animatic, and our goal is to just make more money, that because she's greedy, and the game is to get into the museum as a starter, and then be able to look at the hints throughout the whole museum, and then go to the past to get the pictures and such, because she has the main thing that she has. I completely forgot about this, so sorry. Is the fact that she has a camera that can bring her to the past.
Okay, so as a character, is she good or bad? Is she a criminal or someone trying to restore the museum?
She's a criminal, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, because she is her full name is. We're planning to keep that as in the game as well. Her full name is Betty Thief, and it's like foreshadowing what she is as, because she's a thief and
Okay.
she's trying to get more money from like museums and such.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I've put a resource in the chat which might be worth having a look at. You may already have looked at something like this, but I think my main concern is I'm not sure what your critical path is for the
Yeah.
game. That might be clearer if you have your diagrams in there as well.
Of
I
course.
think what would be really good at this point is for you as a team to be confident in the content that you will definitely have for the demo and the stuff that's a stretch goal, because having things like hints, okay, how many, who's going to be writing them, where are you going to put them in the level, how is the player going to like come across them in a way that feels natural and doesn't feel like pop-ups. And you want to make sure that you're not using something like a hint as like a crutch for a lack of clarity in the level design or the kind of story design for the player. So I would say now's a really good point to just go back over the original kind of plan of what you want your game to be really clear on what that loop is in terms of activity, and probably like maybe storyboard out what you want the different screen sections to be for the player. Like, what are they looking at first? Where did they begin? How is the player going to know this stuff without you telling them? which is like ultimately the big challenge of doing any level design.
Yeah.
So like it's not a bad thing that you're doing this at this point, and it's great that you've had these really creative and interesting ideas. I just get the sense that with this presentation, there's a bunch of stuff that that I haven't got access to. So what I have been told, I haven't been able to put two and two together. So definitely just review that back. Can I just ask, the star rating system, is that for the photo? Is that for the level itself? What dictates 1 star versus 3 star? And what does the player get for getting 3 stars?
The main premise of the stars would be the more pictures you take of the artifacts around the map is the more you get the stars. So if you complete the full level, you get the 3 stars, and it'll be a set amount of artifacts. And if you get all the artifacts throughout the thing, you get the full 3 stars. We don't really know what you could get for 3 stars. I think you just be able to like get more money from it, as well as be like a sense of like have a sense of being like like a completedness. I can't say the word. A completed
sense of completion.
Completion and such, and be like, oh, I did this all level I got a 3 star. I did a great job. Or in the sense where if you got 1 star, you could go, oh, I can go back and revisit, and maybe I could do better. That's what we're planning to do.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I think from a demo perspective, again, it's a case of like, how is the game going to be checking as to whether the actions required for it to be 1 star, 2 star, 3 star are going to happen. And also, how are you going to show that to the player? What would that mean? When you said like the number of artifacts dictates the number of stars, is the map that you're talking about the museum?
The map would be the Egyptian side, as we're going in the
back
past.
in time.
Yeah.
So there's multiple artifacts in one environment that you will be photographing.
Yes.
Okay. That's another bit that I didn't understand.
Yeah. Cool. I do have to apologize.
That's okay. Like often you don't know the bits that are missed until you have a conversation like this, right? But
yes.
I guess it's just sort of like further illustrating, like there's definitely some more kind of hand feeding that you can do to your audience at the start. The final thing I would just say, it's not a criticism, but again, it's a case of I'd love your team to be really confident on this. If your main character is a criminal and is money motivated, why do we need to know that they're a journalist? And it's like, because the journalist thing kind of threw me off, and I was like, oh, so are they like a historical journalist that's like capturing this for prosperity? It might just be easier because we haven't got very long to communicate this to the player, right? In the exhibition sort of scenario. By the way, I love the Leeds Armoury Museum, so I was really excited when I saw that. We haven't got very long to tell them who this player is and what their motivations are, so I would keep it simple. So if the motivation is money, make that really clear, keep that theme throughout, just so that there's no kind of confusion for the player. But yeah, sorry, I realised that was a lot of feedback. Thank you for being a good sport, taking it on. And I really look forward to seeing how it develops.
I've got a little bit to add as well, just before you go, guys. So I think Robin's already touched on it quite a bit, but I think what we need is a lot more clarity. Because I think you guys have a really clear idea of your game. You have a really good approach to developing it. But in terms of kind of making it nice and clear to us, I think there's a few bits missing. So for me, I don't quite understand the point of the hints if we're in a straightforward, single linear level. What do we need hints for?
The hints itself, what we're planning to do, it's not like a linear level, hopefully. Again, it would have been helpful if we had the map. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But what we're planning to do is that different sections open up after completing the level, which is like the Egyptian section of the museum.
So again,
to be completed.
Just gonna stop you guys.
Yeah.
If we're doing the game for the exhibition, are we realistically going to be able to complete in the 5 to 10 minute playtime? Are we realistically going to be able to complete the museum, then the Egyptian area, and then another area once we clear that?
The museum, it's mostly what we're planning to keep at the museum. It's not like a full level, but it's mostly like the best way to describe it is like the lobby of the thing. And
That's
then
your level select almost.
yeah, basically. It's like a
Cool.
interactable level select, and then you go to the actual level itself.
Right. So again, are we going to be able to, in that 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes, figure out that the museum is our level select, that we have to interact with something, take a picture of one of the Egyptian exhibits, and then we're sent back to Egypt. And then while walking around Egypt, are we necessarily going to know that there's, say, 3 artifacts to take pictures of, that we have to find all these things? So when you say hints, I'm picturing something like, some of the basic tutorial information. So, left analog stick or WASD to move, that kind of stuff. But when you say hints, I don't know if you mean something perhaps a little bit more like the narrator from Stanley Parable, because that's something that really kind of I want to compare your game to, not because it's necessarily very similar, just because in the way that you're asking your player to really engage with the movement and the levels. Maybe Pokemon Snap as well is probably quite a good point of reference. Pokemon Snap again is a very similar approach. You're just taking pictures of things in a level, but Pokemon Snap does it on almost like on a rail. So you have one path through the level, but on a repeat go round, you can notice certain areas in the level that if you take a picture of this thing, something happens in the level. If you do this, something else happens. And really giving your players, I think, an opportunity to really engage with the level without you needing to kind of over-explain. And that's why I think, personally, I'd like to see a slightly more linear level from your game, because that way you can put artifacts in a place where, players might notice them but might not know to take a picture. Or you can hint at things a little bit easier rather than saying, right, here's this big open level to sort of wander around, get lost in, and maybe find it a little bit harder to kind of communicate that with you.
We plan to have, of course, the character to be able to have text box talking. So she might be like talking about it, be like, oh, I feel like if I do this, I could like maybe get out of the section or something. I don't really know, but it's like an idea of the main character talking to like in third perspective type of thing, talking outside.
I think there's nothing wrong with doing this sort of internal monologue and having the character say, like, I shouldn't leave this place without picking up this, that, or the other.
Spider-Man's a really good example of that. You don't really notice it when you're playing it, but if you watch someone else playing it and you're just listening, Spider-Man, particularly the first one on PlayStation 4, was just constantly like, maybe I should go over here. Maybe this is this. The only thing I'd say about that is please keep track of the scope of those again. So like work out how many lines, what they're going to be. Are you going to voice act them? Will they just be text on the screen? The last thing I just wanted to add was about reflection, that maybe the artifacts, when they're collected, might have some information about them. That could be a narrative moment where you could explore either self-reflection or the reflection of that artifact on the time period that it's from. And you can do that all text-based, so you're not having to implement new kind of like features or functionality in the game.
I actually think in terms of reflection, there might be, and I know I said against it earlier, there might be a fun opportunity for you to have a shot of your character's face like reflected in the artifact, and showing off that sort of greed, that avarice, the need for more money in that sort of nice shiny pile of treasure moment where they're looking into like one of the fancy knives that they've been sent to take pictures of, and having that sort of dollar signs pop up in their eyes in the reflection of this shiny blade. But yeah, I think overall you've got a really good idea. You've got some really, really interesting approaches to your gameplay, to your narrative. I really recommend looking at Stanley Parable as a reference for your kind of gameplay and level blockouts. They're going to be really, really helpful. But carry on, keep going in the direction you're going. I think you've got a really good sense for what you're making. Again, pull back. Let's have another look at your scope, have another look at what you want to kind of confidently present by the end of the project. But overall, yeah, doing a really good job. Go on, Robin. Sorry, I know you wanted to add something there.
No, I was literally just going to say well done and thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.